Hey y'all, this is Chris Hicks and welcome to the Southern Rock Insider. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe and click the notification bell. It's time to rock Southern style.
The Southern Rock Insider.
Welcome everybody. Chris Hicks here with your Southern Rock Insider. Today I've got musician extraordinary and gentleman, David Muse. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you for having me here, Chris. It's a pleasure, and I've never been here to Capricorn Studios. This is quite exciting for me. Yeah.
Dave is a founding member of Firefall, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how you got into Firefall in the beginning.
Well, you know, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I played in underground Atlanta at Scarlett O'Hara's, and I got a call from my friend Rick Roberts. He said, "We got something going on out here. You need to come out." So I was getting ready to go to California, so I stopped in Boulder, and Ricky was out on the road with Stephen Stills at the time, so I didn't quite see him. And then he came back into town, and him and Chris Hillman came in and saw me, and next thing I knew, I was playing with Chris and his band for a little while, and then I got together with Firefall. We started rehearsing. Next thing I know, I was in Miami cutting the first album, and it all went from there. You know, it's like we lucked out. You know, but you know, our band had some history because, you know, Ricky was in the Flying Burrito Brothers and he had a solo career, and then Mark Andes was in Spirit and JoJo Gunn, and he went on to play other bands, you know, a long time after that. So, and Michael Clark from the Byrds was our drummer, you know, so we just kind of lucked out, you know, and that first album went over pretty good, you know, and next thing I knew, we were out on the road touring with Fleetwood Mac and Doobie Brothers, and you know, it's like, hey, this works.
Well, tell me a little bit about Firefall, the band. Did that band come out of the Boulder, Colorado connection? I'll call it. There's a lot of good musicians from Boulder in that area. Was that something brewed up at that time in Boulder, or how did?
Yeah, no, it was a special time. I mean, you know, Chris Hillman was living there, and you know, they had a Caribou Ranch up in the mountains, and you know, everybody and your brothers, you know, even. Anyway, you know, a lot of people were recording up there, so it was quite a scene, you know, and a lot of people had moved out of LA at that time, and they kind of came to Boulder, so it was quite a good music scene going on there for a while.
A lot of good musicians there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of good musicians there that never had the opportunities like I did to, you know, do something nationally, you know. But I always feel like how lucky I am because, you know, I could have been playing clubs, still doing 4 sets and shitting all my shit up and not making any money, you know. So, but I feel very fortunate that my buddy Rick Roberts, you know, who I grew up with in Clearwater, he got me in the band, and you know.
Rick would be the lead singer and guitar player and main songwriter.
Main songwriter. Yeah. He wrote most of our hits. Larry Burnett was the other songwriter, and Ricky had met him in DC. He was a cab driver and met him in a cab, and they got to talking, and then he sent him some songs, and Ricky said, "We need to get this guy in the band," you know. So that's the way that all happened.
How many albums did Firefall do?
The original band, we did 5, I think, before we started splitting off, you know. Michael left first, and then Mark Andes left, and then we continued on for a while, and Jock, the guy that basically is his band now, he's kept it together here for the last 45, 50 years, you know. So,
matter of fact, you just got back from Nashville playing a Firefall gig.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, we did. It's our first gig in a year and a half after the lockdown, and it was quite the pleasure to get up and start playing again. The weird thing of it was we didn't, because everybody lives, our drummer lives in Oregon, Mark lives in Texas, I live in Florida, Jock lives in Denver, you know, and our new singer, he lives in Nashville, so we didn't have a chance to rehearse. And it's kind of weird, you know, after a year and a half getting together and go, okay, let's get out in front of all these thousands of people and play, you know. It's like, but it all came back, and it was pretty good. It was at the Hemp Fest.
Okay.
Hemp Fest in Asheville, North Carolina. So it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, you know. And we're getting back to work, but it's sort of like you guys in Marshall Tucker. We're just now getting back, and we're not that busy right now. But come August, September, we start.
Everything's turning back on. Looks like.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that, you know, because hey, you know, that's what I do. I mean, it's the same thing with you, Chris. You know, we you know, we're musicians, and you know, we just like to play music, you know.
Been kind of a strange year, not being able to do that.
It's been a real change. Yeah.
People have been wanting to hear music, and I know I've been wanting to go out and play some too, and I'm glad that it's opening back up. So after many years with Firefall, Dave spent quite a few years with the Marshall Tucker Band.
Almost 10 years.
So what does it feel like from your perspective to play two at least of the most iconic flute lines there is in rock and roll? If we roll tape, play that little intro that we just did.
The reason I got the gig with Marshall Tucker is because we used to play all the time. As a matter of fact, Marshall Tucker and Firefall, the first time we split a bill at Madison Square Gardens, and that was the first time we did it. So I knew Tommy, I knew Toy, I knew Doug and everybody, and Jerry. And Jerry and I kind of did the same thing, you know, we played keyboards and flute and sax and stuff. So when Jerry left the band, you know, that's when Doug called me up and asked me to join the band. And, you know, it was kind of like coming home. You know, I wasn't playing it with Firefall at that time, you know, but, you know, by that time Toy and Tommy were gone, you know. I was more friends with Tommy than I was with Toy, you know, but Tommy was a great guy, you know.
I always heard Tommy was the band leader.
He was.
Yeah, kind of in charge, you know.
No, I didn't know
keep
that.
things together. I didn't know that either, but that's what I've heard people say. So how many years did you spend with Marshall Tucker on the road?
I think it was just about 10 years, you know. And it's amazing my wife didn't divorce me because the first year I was in the band, I think we were on the road 238 days out of the year, you know. So it was like, wow, you know, it's a little more than I figured on here, you know. But it was all good. It was all good, you know. And I'm glad to see you guys playing, and you know, I'm glad the band is sounding good, and Doug's, you know, voice is coming back, and you know, Marcus, who took my place, he's doing really good, and you know, so of course I think he stole a few of my licks.
Yeah, I think he did too. Yeah, you two guys, man, two of the most talented flute sax guys that I know, and I think it's great that y'all respect each other. When I was doing Dog Eat Dog, you know, I had Marcus play on it. I remember you telling me, let me hear what that guy did. I like what he did. I told him that. He's like, man, he said that because, wow, he's a great horn player. To see the respect with you guys is a great thing. It really is, because y'all are two high-class dudes.
The thing of it is, when I left the band, basically I didn't left, I got fired. Doug fired me, but he actually did me a favor because it wasn't 6 months after that I got cancer and had to deal with that for a long time. And now, this whole last year and a half, I got cancer in March last year again, and I got over that, and then it metastasized in my spine, so I've been going through that all this time. But when I got fired, you know, it was more like a blessing, you know. It was like the universe taking care of me.
Getting you ready for that,
you need to get off the road here and take care of your health and stuff, you know. Because, you know, you spend a lot of time on that bus, and it ain't always that fun. I mean, I remember plenty of days where we would drive all the way across country to California or Oregon somewhere, do 2 gigs, and then drive all the way back to Spartanburg. You know, and it's like, okay. You know, but that's hard.
That is hard.
And I got tired of watching Amos and Andy on the bus. You know? Doug bought these cassettes. He bought the whole series. I don't know where he got them at, but we would watch Amos and Andy for hours and hours. I got so tired of watching Amos and Andy.
While the world goes by.
That's right, you know. Anyway.
So let's switch gears here. I want to talk to you a little bit about the world has passed us by. And what I want to talk to you about is the 60s, okay?
Okay.
And let me just set you in the scene here, like drugs, hitchhiking, free love, music. Was you part of that scene?
I was part of that scene, matter of fact, and Summer of Love was one of the best summers of my whole life. And I missed out, though. I was in Rochester, New York, with my brother was living in Rochester, and this girl I knew from Florida had moved to Boston, and I decided I was going to hitchhike to Boston. And it was the weekend of Woodstock. And I go, well, am I going to go to this Woodstock thing, or am I going to go see this girl? I said, screw Woodstock, I'm going to see this girl. So I missed that whole part of it. But no, I got to experience that time quite a bit, and it was a special time, you know. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, you know. Everybody was just together and friendly, and they didn't call it Summer of Love for nothing. Everybody was in a good space, and it was all good.
Now let's back up even further than that, Dave. When your music, how did you get started playing music? Did you go to music school? How were you taught?
No, when I was a kid, I got a toy clarinet for Christmas, and I never looked back. And in high school, I used to play football, was the captain of the football team. But my wife that I have now, I met her at a band rehearsal, and within 5 minutes we were making out, and I said, screw football, I'm going to do this rock and roll stuff, Yeah. And so it all went from there, and then she got married to another guy and had some kids, and then we kind of split up. But then I hit the road with this band, out with my old VW bus, with a Melody Grand piano in it, my horns, and our first gig was in Columbus, and then we came to Atlanta here and played, what the heck was the name of that club? I can't forget the name of the club. And then we went to Savannah, and then after that, I came back to Atlanta, and I joined a band called Taxi, and we played in underground Atlanta. We were the house band, and we got to open up for a lot of iconic people, and there's a funny story. I forget the name of the guy, but we had, being the house band, we had to take turns running the spotlight, and there was this guy was doing this torch song, and I didn't want to be in there doing the spotlight, and I was bored to death, and it was hot, and it was a little bitty room, and he started doing this torch song. So I took the spotlight and put it down to a real little fine pin and put it on his crotch. I never had to do lights ever again.
They got you on for that.
They said, you're done today. So, and then from underground Atlanta, that's when I got, I stayed in Atlanta for a little while after, and I got a call from Ricky, and then I was going to go to California anyway, and Ricky said, you need to stop in Colorado here and check out what we got something going on here. And so I did. And when I first got there, he was on the road with Stephen Stills, and then they came in town, and him and Chris Hillman came in, and next thing I knew, I was playing with Chris. Next thing I knew, was in Miami cutting the first album, and after the album came out, 3 or 4 weeks of playing small clubs, and then we were on tour with Fleetwood Mac. It was like all
boom.
Boom.
So tell me about these licks, like the beginning lick of You Are the Woman. Did you write that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's
your lick.
That's my lick, And
No,
well, let's put it this way: it's the universe's lick.
Gotcha.
I don't play like that.
Right.
If I think about what I'm playing, I don't sound worth a damn.
Yeah.
I just gotta let it flow through me, and that's the way I play. It's the inspiration.
Well, I think you're easily one of the best musicians I've ever worked with, and I want to ask you this: you read music, Dave?
I do read music.
In your career, have you used reading music as much as playing by ear, or what's been the difference in those two?
No, I mean, I went to junior college, and I was majoring in music, and I was going to be a high school band director. It was what my big idea was, until I went back to my junior high school and saw how the kids were treating the band director, and I said, I can't do this. I'll end up in jail. I'm not going to put up with this crap, I read music, but most of mine is just by ear and just by inspiration. And just like you, Chris, you just get into it and you just feel it and let it come through.
Right.
And when the inspiration's there, it's there, and when it's not there, you don't sound that good. And and once you come up with licks, I mean, you can remember them and stuff. And I have done some things. We did some session work in Miami where brought in the Memphis horns, and then we brought in another horn section for another song, and then they call it the Dave Muse and Bonnaroo horns,
Mm-hmm.
So there was some charts and things going there. I do that, but that's not me really.
Right.
You
kind of, what about, I know recently, or maybe before the COVID thing, you're touring with Al Stewart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did a yacht rock thing. It was Christopher Cross, Al Stewart, Firefall, Orleans, and Gary Wright.
Gary Wright.
And what they did is, like, they didn't use the full band. There was only 3 of us from Firefall, and then Orleans was like the backup band for everybody. But for me, I got to play with Christopher Cross, and I got to play with Al Stewart and did Year of the Cat and stuff. And I learned all the licks. That luckily his guy had sent me some charts, so it was really easy.
So you played that solo in Year of the Cat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned the stuff off the charts,
Yeah.
and just did that. And that was a really fun time. That was a good tour, that we did that,
Christopher Cross, always liked his material too, man. It was really great. When that album came out, I thought it was really, really good. Speaking of albums coming out, being creative, I'm holding up 2 of Dave's solo CDs, want to call it. Here's him doing the Firefall stuff in a Dave Muse format. And here's one called Forgotten Journey.
Now what they are is this Firefall Revisited. I took a bunch of our hits and I changed the grooves around. They're smooth jazz is what it is, because I'm not the greatest singer in the world. So I just figured, I'm going to take our hits and I'm going to change them around a little bit. So that's what that is. And then that's all original music, that Phil and I wrote together, a bunch of stuff.
And this is a great album. I heard this not long ago when you gave me a copy down in Florida. Really, really high level, good musician stuff. We were talking about Sea Level the other day. We did a special with Willie Perkins, and we were just talking about guys like that. And you're one of those guys. You're one of the high level musician guys to me. You play some deep stuff. One of your other records or something he was working on the bus one day, he gives me a CD, and so I put headphones on, and it's this deep pulsating sounds. And I woke up with him taking the headphones off going, you got in too deep. But it was really some almost meditative stuff. What was that we're listening to on that?
Yeah, well, I kind of gravitate that. I put, when New Age music started out, I put an album out years ago, and it's called Tonal Alchemy. And I was like one of the first guys doing New Age music. I was still in Firefall at that time, but it's like I was looking for, an outlet. And I've always been into space music and, being an old hippie redneck.
Right.
I've always gravitated towards that kind of stuff, And actually, I've been working with the COVID. I've been finishing up this New Age CD that I started 14 years ago, and I had it 90% done. I never finished it, but a friend of mine, Michael Emick, who's written with Meatloaf and Lita Ford and all those people, he sang on it, and I figured, you know what, I need to finish this, if nothing else, just for people that appreciate Michael, because he sings on a couple of tracks and stuff. So it's finally just about, it's all mixed now. I just got to get it mastered and be. It's called 90 degrees phase shift. And if you know what a 90 degrees phase shift is, it's if you take a gyroscope and it starts spinning, and if you hit it this way, if you hit anything this way that's not spinning, it goes straight. If you hit a gyroscope when it's spinning, you hit it here, it goes 90 degrees to this side. So basically it's about taking your energy and getting that 90 degrees phase shift where you can phase into another level of consciousness.
I like that. Punch on through to the...
It's that space shit. I guess it comes from taking too much acid in the old days. I don't know.
Maybe taking just enough.
Just enough. Firefall has a new album out. It's called Comet. I don't have a copy of it right here with me, but it's pretty good. It's a little different than the old Firefall sound, but it's still some good music in there. And I had a friend of mine, one of the songs I had in there is called Ghost Town, and he wrote that with, I think, Tony Joe White and him wrote that together, and it's a really good song, So anyway, if you're a Firefall fan and you're interested, it's the first actually studio CD we've had out in 25 years or something like that. So anyway, now I'm good, Jock.
There you go.
I do have a website. It's called davemuse.com. And you can listen to the music on there, and these CDs are available on downloads and just about every download site you can find, so, and there's some history on there, but yeah, davemuse.com, you can check out my history, and we try to keep it updated, but it's, sometimes you get a little lax for days of cold, so, but.
Well, Dave, thanks for coming and talking with us today and visiting here at Capricorn. I can't wait to see you down the road and play something with you again.
My friend, my brother, I appreciate you having me.
Sir.
It's been nothing but a pleasure, and it's a pleasure meeting you guys too, and thank you for having me.
Soda rock insider. Good Lord, I feel like an insider.
Hey, Chris Hicks here from the Southern Rock Insider. I'd like you to hit this button right here and subscribe, or I'm coming to get you.
The Southern